Sorties have been flown over Iraq and Kuwait in just 72 hours of fighting. Pilots report continuing danger in the sky, more dogfights with Iraqi MiGs and Mirage aircraft. In Iraq, if the order comes, head in on the ground. NBC's Brad Willis has spent the last several days in the desert with the 3rd Artillery Battalion, 11th Marines Task Force Ripper, and he joins us now from Saudi Arabia. Good evening, Brad.
Well, good evening, Garrick. On the front, the Marines of the 1st Division are heavily dug in while Iraqi forces are being pounded from the air. But commanding officers know that soon the war will shift their way. The ground forces will have to move north into Kuwait, and that's what they've been training for since August. This is a rare look at how Marine assault battalions plan to move through the heavily fortified defensive lines of the Iraqi army. It's called breaching a berm. Huge rolls of pipes called fascines are blown off the sides of an amphibious assault vehicle and then pushed into ditches to help troops and tanks roll over sand hills called berms put up in the desert to slow them down. The quicker these Marines move north, the fewer casualties they're likely to take.
If we can work as a team and use our combined arms, our marine aviation, he's not going to be able to stick his head up and see what we're doing. And so if we can do that right, we'll get in amongst them, and then it's all over for him.
Most of the young Marines in these assault teams have never seen combat. They're now on the front lines, in place to spearhead the push to liberate Kuwait.
There's times where you feel like, why are we here? You know, I really don't care about oil. I don't care about material things. You know, I'm here so my little brothers won't be in 10 years. That's what keeps me going through it.
Today, these Marines practice assaulting the horizon line, but soon they may well be face to face with the enemy. Now, if and when that day comes, the Marines admit it will be a major conflict and that both sides will take heavy casualties. Garrick?
Well, Brad, we hope that day really doesn't have to come, or at least does not come soon. But the fact that many of the American and other allied units are being moved up closer to that Kuwaiti border, that Kuwaiti front line, should we take that as an indication that we are getting close to that day?
Well, we certainly should, Garrick, and it also depends heavily upon the aerial bombardment and how successful the Allied forces that are now pounding the Iraqi forces on a daily basis are in knocking out the artillery and softening up those defensive lines of Saddam Hussein.
What we are hearing in some of the Pentagon briefings, but of course are not able to see, are the B-52s, which are key to pounding those Iraqi positions, and as you and others have been reporting. Any indication as to the intensity and results of those B-52 raids?
Well, I don't have specific numbers about that, Garrick, but while I've been out in the desert over the past 5 days, we have seen many B-52s going over with F-15 fighter jets in formation behind them, heading north, obviously, towards targets in Kuwait and Iraq.
Brad Willis in Saudi Arabia.